What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Positively Awesome Wrestling Show, where tonight we are doing the best of 2023. It is an award show of sorts, but not really, because there was no voting. There was no breakdown and analysis per se. Some people are here picking because strictly with their fandom. Some people are picking based on what they did break it down. We all have our different answers, and that's how I like it, because wrestling is not one thing. Wrestling is everything. So multiple ideas, multiple winners, I feel like is a much better way of doing things. But with that said, we are joined by a former guest. Happy to have him back. We got David Perry in the house. David, what is up with you? What's been up since last time you was with us, man?
Hey, man, back at it again, man. Laid a couple tracks down with the gang. If y'all get a chance, pull up the Kick Rocks podcast, breaking down everything. Hear what we got to say about CM Punk, all things pro wrestling. Shout out Evan T. Mack and Chef Justin T., my partners in crime.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was that CM Punk? Was that a new one that you done?
Oh yeah, we went live right after both Raw's last two episodes.
Okay. Yep. I'm gonna check those out during this hiatus we're about to go on for sure. And now we have Albert. He is powering through. He's been under the weather, but he's powering through because he wasn't going to miss this show, and it's much appreciated. Other than that, how you been, Albert?
Doing all right. My energy might not be as high as it usually is, but there was no way I was missing the last show of the year. No way I was missing giving up my podcast awards this year. Another really fun year of wrestling. And I actually got, because I didn't feel well, I had nothing to do on a Saturday night. I got to watch an NXT pay-per-view last night. And that was a nice thing to see. What a very pleasant surprise. The first WWE NXT PLE I've watched in quite some time. And Tidy, now I understand why you keep talking really positive things about NXT. What a show.
And with that, transition over to the Tidy. Tidy, how the heck are you? I don't know if you saw the NXT show, but if you have, I feel like you'd be a little bit more happier because it was a good show.
I'm 1.5 matches from finishing it. I told you, man, the night was real. I had a good time. Yeah. Tidy was celebrating. So I'm in a good mood. I'm just staying hydrated, baby. So gotta stay hydrated.
Tidy is the party animal of the podcast for sure.
Thanks. So Tidy, the only ones you've missed so far are the cage match and the last match, and the world title match. You saw everything else?
Yeah.
Make sure you hit me up when you're done with that main event, because I'm gonna tell you something. I was mad about it, but I don't want to get too much into any wrestling takes right now because we got a full plate on the table. We got 11 categories. We're gonna get them out, and I'm very excited for this. I'm very excited for it. Before we get there, let's get these comments. Hey, what is up, Courtney? Thank you for joining. Amanda, what is up, babe? No, it is you that is looking good. You know this. She says hello to everybody else and myself. Yeah, CM Punk wasn't NXT. I did miss it, but I caught the clip of it later. It was entertaining. He wore the Bret Hart sweater in there with
that Bret Hart sweater, man.
That made me think I need that Bret Hart hoodie. That's what that made me think. Because man, that's fire.
I love that I love that he took a picture of himself early in the day, and that's just exactly what he was wearing. He's like, I'm not changing. This is just who I am.
I missed the flight. Okay, Punk. Okay, I see through.
Three kings tonight. I got King Larry, King Punk, and then King Jimmy. That's what's up. Very excited to show off these little graphics I got going on. Anybody missed it? Oh, we got the Positively Awesome Wrestling 2023. Here we go. And first, and certainly not least, we were going to kick it off with the best debut and or return of the year. There was quite a few. Edge could probably be in that category like 17 times, but we're going to hit up with what we think was the best return / debut of the year. And with that, we're going to kick it off with our guest of honor, as he will go first. Who do you have as the best of 2023?
I mean, is it even a question? It happened a couple weeks ago. You know, the world's still shaking. Punk all day. I mean, there's nothing they can touch. I'm not his biggest fan. You know, I'm on wax. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think he behaves the best backstage, but at the same time, when he's backstage, if you don't have the adequate professionalism going along with it, sometimes energy is matched. You know, and Punk keeps it 100. If he say he's gonna punch you in your mouth, he's gonna punch you in your damn mouth. But just
Bingo.
uh, I didn't think it was gonna happen up until this summer. Like if you'd have told me in 2021, I didn't think it was gonna happen. But the roar and just the actual return of that energy into the WWE, that's been missing for almost 10 years. You know, Punk was one of a kind, he's still one of a kind, and he was the only one of his ilk to get to that certain level. And you saw, I think it's over 100 million views on social media. Again, I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm gonna keep it 100. I take all my emotions out of when it comes to analysis, and that is the biggest return I would say of this decade. So let's go with that.
There we go. And just so everybody knows it's following, or I'm gonna go ahead and take all our picks down. I'm writing them down, and I'm gonna start posting them tomorrow on both our pages. That way, we get it out there for the world to see. For those who didn't see, maybe they want to tune in and check us out afterwards. But I'm gonna post all the picks tomorrow as well. We're gonna have 4 winners for each category. Or maybe there might be some people picking the same stuff. But Albert, I'm gonna swing it over to you. Your best return debut of 2023.
All right. So if it wasn't for what David said, I think it would have been Edge in AEW. I think it was a huge moment. I think it's a moment in time. I think that's just something that no one expected to see. But I mean, the answer is obvious and clear. It's CM Punk coming back to WWE after all these years. I mean, is there really, he literally wore a shirt on Friday that said "Hell froze over," and I think that's the way that everybody felt about this. This is something that no one expected to happen. It's the biggest story in pro wrestling in, like you said, probably of the decade. So yeah, I got to agree. CM Punk for me.
Yeah, Tidy, what you got, man?
Can I say JD McDonough as a debut?
You can say it all you want.
Thank you.
This is your choice, man. I'm not going to say anything's wrong here unless you say Charlotte Flair is the best woman wrestler of the year. Then I might have a disagree with you. But literally, these are your choices, your picks. Say whatever you want, man.
JD McDonough, because it was between that and Zoe because of Trish. Like, I haven't seen a debut with somebody coming in from NXT and being treated with such a red carpet. I mean, you're just going to go to the Judgment Day. You're going to have a whole story with them. That was major for me as an NXT fan, because I'm like, man, I wish they would just, I think we talked last time. Finn Balor was the only other person I seen with such love coming out of NXT. And then, what do you know? His friend, JD McDonough. It was going to be that or basically Trish helping out Zoe, because I appreciate that. And that's the way I think more call-ups should be. They should be intertwined into a storyline.
Yeah.
He just happened to go into the best faction of the year storyline. So that's my debut of the year.
Okay. I like that he went deep in the pockets there for that one. I like it. And it's the fan pick. That's what I like about Tidy being here. He's going to give us some fan picks, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Appreciate that.
And I don't think anybody here is going to question what mine is. I think it's pretty obvious. It's CM Punk to WWE. And I know that David and Albert picked it, and I said, we're going to have different picks. This one, I'm sorry, it's hard to not pick the same thing because it's such a big deal. I didn't want it at first. I was very vocal about it. I was like, I don't want it. I don't want it. But when it happened, I was wrong. I was stupid. And it's just an amazing moment. Every time I've seen him, it's literally just like, this ain't real life. This ain't real life. He's back. This is crazy.
It's unreal, man. It's like, it's crazy, bro. It's like the everybody says that his promo in AEW was better when he returned, and I agree. But just that sheer moment at Survivor Series, everybody went batshit crazy. I'm talking about batshit crazy, because the way they did it, oh my God, when they put that bottom third in there, everybody was lulled to sleep. We was all ready to go. Like, that was one damn good pay-per-view. And all of a sudden you hear that static, and it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I had to watch it like 5 times, bro. It's crazy. It was like a shot of adrenaline, bro. If you're not a fan of pro wrestling and that adrenaline, I don't know what to tell you. You're in the wrong type of business because there's nothing like entrance music. I try to explain that to people who don't watch wrestling. There's nothing like that moment when that music hits. It's like, oh my God, especially if it's a surprise. You lose your damn mind. And Edge was a close second. I agree with you. But like I said, CM Punk all day, every day, man. You can't take that away from that man, regardless if you're a fan or not. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, then you got to go with that.
And to add to the music, that's why music is so important in wrestling. And I think a lot of people understand that, but there's a lot of people who don't understand like how significant things are. And just having that initial sound before the music comes on is huge. Glass breaks, the LA Knight, he studied that stuff, and that's why he has that LA Knight. The Rock, he had his. If you're it's always important that way the audience knows who it is.
Guitar riff with Triple H.
Yeah.
You know what time it is. And with Brock Lesnar, you know shit's about to go down when you hear Brock Lesnar's guitar riff. Yeah. It's like it ain't no excitement, it's sheer fear. Yeah. Somebody's getting tore up.
I never understood how awesome Brock Lesnar was until I was in the audience live and I heard it and I was like, oh shit, someone's about to die. It's a phenomenal, it's a phenomenal moment, which is a great segue because our next clip, our next category for the night is going to be the best moments of the year. There was a lot of moments this year, a lot. And last year I was like, man, it's going to be hard for 2023 to top 2022. I honestly felt that way. But here we are at the end of 2023, and I think it did. Lots of moments to choose from. I had a hard time with this one. I think we were talking about this right before we came on, which ones we had a hard time with. This was one of them, moments of the year. With that, Albert, I'm going to swing it over to you first this time. What was your moments of 2023?
This is about to get the biggest babyface reaction in this room right now, just because I know for a fact that Jimmy and Tidy are gonna be so happy. Moment of the year for me was Sammy and KO winning the world tag titles from the Usos in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania this year. I mean, you want to talk about one of the best builds to something ever. I mean, Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, that whole story coming to an apex that night. The main event, WrestleMania, 2 best friends versus the best tag team in pro wrestling at the time, maybe in history. Moment, I mean, the stars aligned. The moment was right there, and Sammy and KO finally got that WrestleMania main event moment that they both deserve. I mean, I know KO did it the year before, but there's 2 best friends getting that moment in the spotlight at the same time, and I don't think there was any better, more satisfying fan service moment than that moment right there.
And KO became a Grand Slam champion that night.
That's
that
right.
was awesome in itself. And if there was anything that was going to top KO and Stone Cold Steve Austin for Kevin Owens, I think that's the only thing even close, I think. So,
yeah.
Tidy, swing it up to you, buddy. What is your moment of the year in 2023?
The moment I will never forget. The moment that a grown man cries. What a sad day for Mudville because Casey Jones has struck out. Sammy at the Elimination Chamber. Sammy at the Elimination Chamber. Sammy at the Elimination Chamber. Man, they had the whole Canadian promo thing going. They hyped it up so big for me. And I was like, I know he's not going to win. And then he dropped that video and they gave me hope. Nothing was better than that. Coming off a Royal Rumble, I mean, my God. And the fact his wife was there.
Yeah.
The yelling at Roman, he loved you. God. And that was the moment I wanted the most, I think, in my whole life. I just wanted Sammy to win. And yeah, I give that. You know, Sammy got his moment with Kevin at WrestleMania. I wanted a different WrestleMania moment. I wanted something else. And that's fantastic. But for me, the Elimination Chamber broke my heart. And the most miserable moment I had in wrestling almost was, man, it just showed how much I loved it and I wanted something and supported something. Moment of the year, Sami Zayn, Elimination Chamber.
Goes to show it don't matter if it's a good feeling or a bad feeling. If it makes you feel, that's all that matters. And that's exactly what Sami. Went and got the tattoo literally like 3 weeks after of Sami Zayn. That's like, it was a big moment. It was a big moment. David, swing it down to you. What was your moment of 2023?
I just changed my moment. mid thought because my moment was Bad Bunny's entrance at Backlash because my mind was in San Juan, Puerto Rico for a whole week. When then I was thinking about it. It's got to be the super kick from Jey Uso to Roman Reigns.
Woo, woo. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just reliving the year, and I'm thinking like that whole promo. You thought he was gonna go with the tribal chief, then he said, "I choose you." Bang! The shot hole around the world. Now, did they build off of it? No. I mean, it is what it is. Off of that, they kind of fumbled the bag with that, but we'll see where that story goes. But sheer moment, shot for that value, yeah. Jey Uso turning on Roman Reigns. That's the moment for me. That right there.
It's a good one.
All right. That's a good moment. Yeah. Like honestly,
Appreciate that.
This is just how great 2023 has been. It honestly slipped my mind like the first time he did it. Like because I was trying to piece like what was the top one. It just slipped my mind. But now that you're like saying, it's like, man, that's probably one of the top 3 of the year. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like, it was huge. Where's mine at? Man, mine aren't in order. So my moment of the year is CM Punk returning to. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. He's not going to be every answer. I promise you, he's not going to be every answer. But I'm going to go ahead and say all in for AW at Wembley because that, regardless of what's happened afterwards and regardless of what happened backstage, you know. If I was a 16-year-old and I was watching like I used to, I didn't care about any of that stuff. I wasn't reading stuff. I wouldn't have known about it. I would have just seen that there was 83,000. Argue the number all you want. I don't know it personally, and I just don't care. It looked amazing. The stadium was full. The energy kind of was dwindling a little bit in and out, but it was still pretty amazing to think that AEW went over to the UK and sold that many tickets at Wembley. That's huge. That's very, very huge. I wish they could have capitalized a little bit more on the momentum there. Unfortunately, things happened, but it was still a great moment. And so far, it looks like the ticket sales are right on the same trajectory as last year. So it wasn't enough to sour people, at least for the most part. I know a few who it soured on, but for the most part, it looks like everything's fine. And they're going to do big numbers again next year. And that's cool. That's very cool. If for anything, the UK fans, because they don't get a big show like that all the time. So to get one, that's very cool. And that's my moment of the year. All in from 2023. Because yeah, they bet on themselves and it worked again. I can't knock that. So all great choices there. All great choices there. But now we will move on to what a transition. I didn't even plan this one. It's almost like I'm really good at this stuff. I'm not, though, I promise. Best show of 2023. There was a lot, but we had to pick one. And I know if you're picking a WWE one, that was really hard because 10 out of the 11 of them were bangers, like just bangers. So I'm going to go ahead and let Tidy go first this time. No, who went first last time?
I did. So, yeah.
Okay, Tidy. You're going to go first this time. Wait, he don't have one yet. He got to listen to us. David, I'm going to swing it over to you. What's your best show of 2023?
It's got to be WrestleMania. It's got to be WrestleMania. I mean, let me look at it. I got my notes right here. Let me grab my notes. You had Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. Dope-ass match. Usos versus KO and Sammy. Dope-ass match. Ray whooped Dom's ass. Great ass moment. That prison entrance. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Ooh-wee. Charlotte and Rhea Ripley arguably had match of the year right there.
Yeah, it was
Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes had arguably one of the top 5 main events in WrestleMania history. You could argue that. It's a great match. People are mad about the ending, but ain't worried about the type of theater, the match, the build, everything that go along with it.
They were worried about the doom that was going to follow, and it didn't follow, so they were all wrong.
Also, you had, if I'm not mistaken, you had Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther at WrestleMania. I mean,
another match of the year contender.
I mean, come on now. I mean, I could go on, but I ain't got enough time. We got to keep moving. But hey, that's a hell of a show for me. Yeah. So that's my show of the year. There's a lot of great shows, but just going back and reliving WrestleMania 39, the moments, the feel, the work rate, the entrances, the pageantry, the whistles and bells, or bells and whistles, however you want to say it. It was beautiful. So that's my show of the year.
Boom. Courtney agrees right here. Like every year, since WrestleMania was the show of the year. Albert, I'll swing it over to you. What was your show of 2023?
I'm not going to give Tidy a lot of time to think, because I'm just going to
I'll go after you to give him a little bit more time.
I'm just going to agree and echo everything David just said. WrestleMania 39 for me was by far just, I mean, All In was up there for me, and it's one of the only AEW pay-per-views I watched live, and I really liked it, and that's probably my runner-up. But, man, WrestleMania 39 was just absolutely unbelievable this year. Like you said, just the matches, the pageantries, the entrances, everything about it, phenomenal.
So I'll swing it over to myself, give Tidy just a little bit more time. Unfortunately, I didn't pick WrestleMania 39, and my reason for it, I was there live, so I feel like I would be biased in doing that, because going to a live show always makes it better. So I disqualified it from my choice. But again, there was a lot to pick from, so I'm not mad that I'm not picking it, because I'm gonna pick the show that followed WrestleMania 39. I'm gonna pick Backlash, because I'm looking back at all the shows and I'm thinking, which one was I just fully happy just the entire time? Like I just was, from the beginning to the end, I was like, man, this is just a really fun, solid, awesome show. And Survivor Series was right up there, but Backlash was just a blast. And a big credit to that is the audience. The audience was huge in that show. You had the Bad Bunny entrance, which was just I know it's crazy for me to be praising like an entrance when we're talking about the best wrestling, but that's part of the show. It's a part of the show. And that is like one of the most, I don't even know. Like I got lost in it. I was like, this is just amazing. Like this, I felt like I was in the crowd with these people as it was.
You felt like you went to San Juan, Puerto
Rico. It was amazing.
Go right there, bro. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was there for a week, dude. I just had Chambea, Hala, you know, in my head for a month. I kid you not, bro. I still on the man, bro. If I need some extra energy,
every time I see it on the time, I'm playing and I'm watching it. It's that good. But then the match that followed was fun as hell. It was one of the most fun matches all year. It was again a match of the year contender. I don't care what anyone says. It was so fun. You had Omos have his best match against Seth Rollins, and I know anybody can crap on him all he wants. The match against Seth Rollins was a quality match, and that's a testament to how great Seth Rollins is. Rhea versus Selena was fun. Like, I didn't think Zelina was going to win, but in that match, she gave me like, I mean, I guess it's possible. Like, she sold it to me. It was a great match. It's very underrated. I don't know why it didn't get the love it deserves, because it was a great match. And just the energy from the beginning to the end, the energy was amazing. And it was probably Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar's best match, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% correct in it, but I'm pretty sure it was their best match. But yeah, Backlash 2023 is my choice for the show of the year. And now, Tidy, I've given you as much time as I possibly can. I'll stretch it out just a tad bit longer by talking just a little bit more, but it is now your time to pick the best show of 2023. Your time is up. Your time
it's WrestleMania. Now. It's biased and it's WrestleMania because I had 4 of my friends who don't watch wrestling. One that kind of watches wrestling and certain wrestlers that I say about. And when the Rhea and Charlotte match came on, they lost their mind. I seen them jump. I seen them wow. I seen them gasp. And me and my roommate already are into it. So we love Charlotte. We love Rhea. Having them fight and having like the live crowd from at home, since I'm probably never going to go to a live WrestleMania, that was the best thing that I've experienced with friends. So I'm biased. I'm going to pick towards that. And even if ever the world gets upset, when Cody lost, I was actually happy for a reason. I was like, Triple H made the right decision.
Yeah.
Cody can win later. And me and my roommate even jumped over that because we thought Cody was going to win. So,
and he shouldn't have, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look, that's my goal. Look. Like I said, go back and check out here. Kick Rocks. Listen to me talk about Roman Reigns. Glush going. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's my boy. Ooh wee.
Yeah, I love Roman. Roman made me love him. He really did. He really won me over. Man, I love him.
Did you acknowledge him?
Oh,
Did you acknowledge? Put the finger in the air for me, Tidy.
He did a while ago. He didn't do it very happily, but he did it.
Yeah.
Hey, I was doing this on the way when I was walking out of the stadium because everyone was so mad, and I was just laughing.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah,
I was so happy. Roman's more than sold me over, man. And after him beating Sammy the way he did, I didn't think he would. I was like, you know what? I enjoyed this bloodline story. I enjoy him every time he's on TV. So, anyways, that was my show, WrestleMania.
And now, oh man, I did that. So we will move on to the next topic, in which it will be the most improved of 2023. And I'm gonna go ahead and take reins on this one first. And I'll say this. I already know. I knew who I was picking months ago for this. I just did. It's a no-brainer to me who was doing this. But just for the sake of argument, I was like, who would I have picked second in this case? And there was a lot. There was a lot of people to choose from this year because a lot of people stepped their game up. Julia Hart, Tiffany Stratton, and Trick Williams, just three that came to mind right out the gate. But I'm gonna say this right now. Who's? I'll let you get.
There's another one that a lot of people didn't mention, but yeah.
Dominic Mysterio is your most improved of 2023, and I'm gonna lay it out just like this. I said it before, and I'll say it again. The argument I can make an argument for Dominic Mysterio being the best wrestler of 2023, and it would be more compelling than your argument against him being the most improved of 2023. That's how damn good Dominic Mysterio has gotten this year. I'm listening to y'all's picks if you didn't pick Dominic Mysterio because I respect people's opinions. But this is one of the few times I'll be like, you're wrong. I won't be mean about it, but I'll tell you, you're wrong. Dominic Mysterio is the most improved of 2023. And now I'm very intrigued with what Albert has to say because he had a name that I didn't say. So, Albert, who is yours?
So I think that a lot of people don't realize that in this category, something that makes a lot of sense would be LA Knight. He started this year off as a part of the Maximum Male Models and got a complete character revamp and completely improved his character to the point where he became a top guy. Is he my pick? No, because I do think that there is that. Like I saw the ACMA, Jimmy, you were like,
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jerome.
Borderline for me. But I think that if we're going to be fair here, I think there's only one choice. I think that choice is Dominic Mysterio.
Hey, where you get that, you little bastard? Where you get that?
I've had ringside collectibles.
Ain't gonna be there in the morning. I promise you. I'm gonna snack that.
But yeah, that was my number one this year. I think that there's nobody in pro wrestling has been as improved as Dominic Mysterio was this year.
David, I'll swing it over to you. Who is your most improved of 2023?
I'm going to object, and I'm going to go with LA Knight because this is the thing. I understand what you're saying about Dominic Mysterio, but he was never straddled with a gimmick that was never supposed to get over. LA Knight was straddled with a gimmick that was supposed to bring him down. He was supposed to get out of the WWE, and that's how it was portrayed as Max Dupree. But now if you look at LA Knight and you look at like from the bottom, Dom was never at the bottom. Now Dom, people thought he was shitty as a baby face, but he was never at the bottom. LA Knight was at the bottom to the point to where he got up to the main roster and they said, you're not good enough to be a wrestler on this show. You're going to be a manager. And then to come back from that to steadily rise to the point to where he main events the crown jewel versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, however you want to say it, however Paul Heyman, the wise man, would like to say it. You know, I ain't doing him justice, but hey, that's my guy. But just that build and to be number one in merchandise sales, that means a lot in the babyface world with Cody Rhodes out here breaking records too. So you got to take that into consideration from where you come from to where you go. And that's why I go with LA Knight.
So I saw just a quick before I go to Ty. We don't have this topic on this one. It's the breakthrough star of the year. And my argument was that LA Knight is that because I saw LA Knight in NXT, and it's kind of what we're seeing now on the main roster, just dialed up to 11 because it's a much bigger show and the presentation is more and all that. That's why I wouldn't even consider him for most improved. I'm not disagreeing. Like, if that's your choice, I get the argument. I'm listening. But if it was breakthrough superstar of the year, LA Knight wins it hands down. I know the argument was against Swerve Strickland, and I was like, I understand both of them, but Swerve was on his way already in LA. Like you were saying, LA Knight went from a nothing gimmick to being a top guy, and it took less than a year to get there. So, but with that, Tidy, I'll swing it over to you. Who is your most improved in 2023?
Dominic Mysterio.
That's what I like to hear, baby.
As much as I wanted to say Trick Willie, but Trick Willie's wrestling is getting there still. But Trick Willie's character it's been over. It's like everybody loves him. Like, I love that. I love that, man. That dude is awesome. That Tiffany Stratton has always been somebody who can wrestle, and her gimmick took off a while ago. It's just people started getting more eyes on it. I already knew Tiffany was like the shit, like the next Charlotte Flair, the next Becky Lynch, whatever you want to call it. She's our own horseman. But Dominic, no, dude, like, everybody's trajectory for Dominic was going down. The only talk under the interwebs was that Dom needs to go back to NXT. How dare Dom be on the main roster, can barely even do a serviceable match? How dare he have this horrible gimmick with his father? How dare, how dare? And that's all people said. And I was like, man, I see something there. Just give him a chance. I'd like to see it. And I would even be one that was like, yeah, I wish he had more training, etc. But man, he took that, spun it on its head. Jimmy will say the rest because Jimmy is the expert on Dom. But
I was right there with you.
I've never seen something like this. I've never seen something like this. This is a different level. That dude deserves, again, I would say go as far as say superstar of the year. You're a top act with mommy, dude. I mean, NXT champion. He elevated that thing just like Becky did when she was doing it. Anyways, I'm done. Jimmy, you take the reins. You know the man.
You said it like, and that's the thing is, I was right there with the people who were saying he should go to NXT because honestly, he wasn't there with the ring stuff, but he also wasn't there with character stuff either. If you don't have either one, then you shouldn't be on the main roster, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You got to be able to wrestle. You got to be able to entertain, and he couldn't do neither of them. They gave him the reins. They switched him up, gave him the reins, and he to the moon. It was insanity. And switched.
Mommy, bail me out. I won't last a day, Joe.
I got one side of
Jackson. David, real quick before we move to the next one. Dave, what's up?
One side of Jackson. This started last year, though. It did start last year because if you remember, he pulled up on Thanksgiving. He started whooping on Ray, and then he pulled up on Christmas, and then he got arrested. So this started last year, so he wasn't straddled with that gimmick this year. Just saying, because he had already. My thing is, if you go from like the end of 2022 there, because I was on wax saying that I would think Dom's a better heel than MJF because what Dom does is going to get you over, and what MJF was doing was going to get his ass kicked in the stands. Cheap pops. Now, lo and behold, who's still the heel?
Yeah, which is why I've always said MJF.
But y'all that's a phenomenal pick. I'm not saying y'all pick ain't great, and plus I want to be a little bit different too. So
no, you good. I appreciate it, and I'll say this about Dom. My most improved is more so to do with the fact that the wrestler he was on January 1st and the wrestler he is today is night and day difference. He had a match with Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw where I was genuinely, my jaw was like, this is not the same kid. It was crazy to me. The match he had with Dragon Lee, not this past week, but the first one he had with him. I was on Raw and I was like, holy shit, this kid is progressing way faster than I thought he was. So
he had a great match with him last night too.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet. I tuned in late, but I know what happened.
You're probably better off. You probably shouldn't even watch it.
Makes me freaking sad all day on all night. I don't want to talk about it.
You probably shouldn't even watch
it. We're moving on. Our next topic is going to be I lost track. There it goes. The best feud of the year. And just like the best show of the year, this is one that I had a tough time narrowing it down. So with that, Tidy, you've been going last. This time you're going first. What was your feud of 2023?
It's more like the feud of the decade. Sheamus and Drew are always at ends. And just when they get back together, just like when they seem like they both been wrong and lost last year and back on the same page, what do you know? Drew does something selfish and pisses Sheamus off. Now you got Sheamus versus Drew and Gunther at WrestleMania. And just like anything that is involved with Sheamus and Drew, it is lightning in a bottle. You add Gunther to it, and you got meaty men slapping meaty meat, like the greatest, the greatest orchestra ever. Definitely, it was a contender for my match of the year. But you can't do wrong when Sheamus and Drew are involved, and it had the backstory of just Sheamus getting his last shot, and then here comes Drew as a beef. It's like, man, this is taking me back when they were beefing for real back then. So, anyways, that's my thing.
All right, Albert, you're up. Feud of 2023.
So I think that there's a lot of people that are gonna, look at Bloodline and that saga, but I kind of want to pitch over to AEW, and I want to highlight two guys that I think did a really good job in a story that I don't think was even set to go as long as it did, and then it kind of captured everybody's imaginations to the point where it's still one of the biggest things today, and that's MJF and Adam Cole.
Okay.
I think
Cowboy shit.
No. I think MJF and Adam Cole was supposed to be like one of those things where it was going to be like, okay, we're going to do a program, they're going to be together, and that's going to be it. And then they started doing these promos together, and then they started becoming friends, and no one thought they were going to be friends, and all of a sudden they were friends, and then all right, well, at Wembley, somebody's going to turn on the other, and no one did. And then it was, well, Cole's going to eventually turn, and he didn't. And then it's, well, Cole's the devil, and as of right now, so far, he's not. We don't think he is. They're making it seem like it's not. It's an intriguing story. I don't think that they were ever supposed to get this much length out of it. And the fact that they did shows that AEW did something smart. They capitalized on momentum that they had built organically, and they decided to keep going with something. And I wanted to highlight AEW for that because they did a great job with it.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a few times. Like they kind of switched gears with it, and they rode the momentum, and that's something like we've been like they need to do more of this. And
absolutely,
because it's been a great feud program, whatever we're gonna call it, because yeah, it's been great. David, I'll swing it over to you. What was your best feud of 2023?
My best feud of 2023 was Sami Zayn versus the whole Bloodline. I think that was the longest feud because what it go from January into the end of May, early June, and then he went and had beef with every single member of the Bloodline, and it parlayed itself into a Elimination Chamber undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Championship in his hometown. Did he lose? Yeah, he lost, but he still got the match. Then he ended up main eventing a WrestleMania, and him, not necessarily Kevin Owens, him being in that saga with the Bloodline, got the tag team championships in the main event, which had never happened before, not one time. So, and it continued after that. So, and if you got to add at the end of 2022, the cinema that they were producing, it's a story. It was beautiful. It was the best storyline we've seen in the WWE in a long time.
Yeah,
long time. All the flowers to Sami Zayn because he held it together. He made it so much fun. The dude was out here breaking people. Even Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman never breaks. He was breaking Paul Heyman. That's how good the dude was doing. So, man, that was my favorite rivalry. I think it was the best rivalry. If Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page had a little bit longer because that's getting heated up and spicy, then I would give them more consideration because I think the blood boiling feud that they have going along, that's going to be that we did a little bit early, but that could lead into 2024, and that might be the rivalry of 2024. And also shout out to I'll wait because I don't know what Jimmy's gonna say.
Yeah. I'll say I think Hangman and Swerve is going to be an excellent world title program next year. I do think that's going to happen, and it'll be excellent. My feud, this was a hard one. I kind of figured Tidy was going to go Sami Zayn and Bloodline and Roman Reigns in some way. So I was trying to kind of pick things differently. And then I was like, no, I actually am 100% okay with this one being my feud of the year because much like the Sami Zayn one, it made me believe. I truly believe something was going to happen that realistically I knew wasn't going to happen. Again, much like the Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns one. And it's not something I feel like gets enough love. And it's something I wanted months prior to it ever happening. Gunther versus Chad Gable was phenomenal. And it's not over with, people. It's not over with. Chad Gable's winning that title at WrestleMania. Mark my words, it's going to happen. But the Chad Gable Gunther one, because again, back in April, I was like, if I'm booking, I'm putting the Chad Gable as the guy that dethrones Gunther. And then we get the program and they get that first match in which Gable wins by count out. And I'm like, wait a second, they're doing something here, because that's the first loss Gunther's had on this main roster. That's crazy. No, he lasted. That was the first time. Then the second one, he beat him by count out. And then the third one, the match was just amazing. It was amazing. And then we got a little promo afterwards where he swore to God he was going to be the one that took that title from Gunther. And it was an amazing promo Chad Gable cut, something he's very underrated with. And I look forward to – what's that?
Gunther's promo when he talking about watching his kid cry afterwards and everything like that. I mean –
the whole thing was phenomenal. I don't think it took too long. They didn't milk this one for all it was worth. They didn't need to. They gave it just the right amount of time, and they can revisit it again WrestleMania season. And – yeah, I love the feud. I know Gunther wasn't going to lose that title to Chad Gable because of the record was coming up, and this is one I knew they were going to do. But man, Chad Gable made me a believer. So Chad Gable and Gunther was my feud of the year. It was just incredible. I loved it. Loved every bit of it. And then I'll let David say his little piece, and then we'll move on to the next one.
I really think that they didn't give it they should have gave it a little bit more length, but I was thoroughly enjoying the Jon Moxley, Orange Cassidy feud. Very underrated feud. They didn't, because of injury and things of that nature, it didn't get the length and the teeth into it, but I just loved the matches that they had and the story that they were telling. So just wanted to give them a little bit of love.
Oh, yeah, I was salivating for that, and I hate that how it happened. Like, it just kind of took me out of it a lot with injuries and just how everything worked. But yeah, I was pumped for that one when it first came up. And now we'll move on. We'll talk about feud of the year. We got multiple people involved with those, and now we'll transition right over into another category with multiple people involved, because I'm talking about the best faction of 2023. And this one I think is about to get interesting, because I feel like everyone knows what I'm about to pick, but they're all wrong. So with that, Albert, you're up first. Faction of 2023.
It's the Judgment Day, and it's not even close. I mean, has there really been another faction this year that's been more dominant than the Judgment Day? Last year it was all about the Bloodline. The Bloodline held all the gold and stuff like that. This year they lost all of it. The Judgment Day. All right, so Dom finally just unfortunately lost the NXT North American Championship last night to Dragon Lee. But other than that, you have Finn Balor and Damian Priest as the tag champions. JD McDonough is on his way up, doing some good stuff, being kind of almost like the fall guy for them right now. But Rhea's been the most dominant champion maybe across all brands as of right now. They're hitting on all cylinders. Even when they lose, they're still the most interesting faction on the planet. It's Judgment Day for me, and like I said, to me, it's not even close.
All right. Dave, swing it over to you. What was your faction of 2023?
I mean, Albert just said it. There's a Judgment Day. I mean, if it isn't the Judgment Day, I mean, the only one you could argue for is Damage Control, honestly, but I'm not rolling with Damage Control. I'm rolling with Mommy. I'm rolling with Dom. I'm rolling with the Tag Team Champions of the World. I'm rolling with Senior Money in the Bank. You know what I'm saying? Damian Priest. And they've been running amok the whole year. The whole year. Raw's about Judgment Day. It has and always will be this year about Judgment Day. They've been intertwining with everybody. Cody Rhodes, they've been intertwining with Rey Mysterio, they've been intertwining even with Roman Reigns. Everybody, the litany, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens,
Get out here, Luke.
All of them. Every single last person on Raw has came across the Judgment Day. He's next. He's next. He's on the way, So that's why I gotta rock with the Judgment Day. They have been hitting on all cylinders. I think it's getting a little tired and ready for it to change, but we're talking about the end of the year. We ain't talking about the whole length of the year. And arguably it's the only faction that's been strong a whole year. So who can you really argue that has the accolades, has the compliments, has the length, has the heat, has everything to go along with the faction. That's the Judgment Day. And they got a world champion. Might be a woman, but it's still a world champion.
I don't know.
Very
Tidy,
true.
what about you? What was your faction of 2023?
That's gonna be a clean sweep. All right. Yo, I had somebody give me some little bit of heat on the Twitter X machine because I actually enjoyed the Raw. I think that was last Raw of just how Damian Priest was going to react to Mommy not being there, Finn not being there as his peer, and the way that he treated JD McDonough. He's like, man, what happened when they got back and lost? I thought that, you know, I thought he was about to snap on them, but they're like, nah, man, and JD was saying some stuff, sounded like a little bit of excuses. Like, man, they're that good. You got to watch out for the Creed brothers. I thought he was going to light them up. And you know what? He was respectful towards them, told them to go take a shower, get whatever better. And I think just the way that he even brought up the fact that Rhea's not here and the crowd just boos immediately when they said that promo in the back. That to me was entertaining, and it stayed entertaining throughout the whole year, whether they're going to accept JD McDonough, whether the crazy antics with Dom. It's a clean sweep, man. Judgment Day have been it. And it's just when people think, I think it's still on fire right now. What happened last week is making me interested in what they're about to do.
So I know this is a hard sell. I'm probably not going to convince anybody otherwise, and that's fine. And I know it's going to be crazy hearing it come from me because I absolutely love the Judgment Day. I'm one of the few that hasn't really gotten tired of the whole shtick. I've understood the reasoning for the Longy feud because it was leading to War Games, and you got to have a blood feud to go into that. You can't just have a month-long feud and be like, that's time for war. No, that's what we complain about Hell in a Cell. I understood it. But here's the thing. And yeah, Lou, he's saying Judgment Day too. I'm going to go AEW here, and I'm going to say Bullet Club Gold is my best faction of 2023. And I'm going to say it for this reason. Collision, at one point, was hands down the absolute best show, a wrestling show on TV. It was like a month and a half, 2 month period where it was the best wrestling show on TV. And we had CM Punk on it, which was great. He was doing phenomenal work. We had Ricky Starks, who was doing the best work he's done in AEW, and it was great. We had FTR on there having some matches, and they were great. One of those matches they had was against Bullet Club Gold. And you know what? Bullet Club Gold was the most interesting part of that show during that time period. Jay White, to me, is probably right up there with Seth Rollins as far as the absolute, and Gunther as far as the absolute best complete package wrestlers. He's so smooth in the ring. Juice Robinson is a blast. The Gun Club actually looks like legit contenders and threats for the first time instead of just jokes. Their entrance is amazing. And yes, it's part of the package, so I am going to talk about it. Everything about them, they're everything about Bullet Club Gold is amazing. Usually the whole taking the title and running and just keeping it usually is kind of just tiring. And all. Jay White and Bullet Club Gold made it work. And I honestly thought they were going to take the title from MJF. I thought he was just going to keep it. I think they did a really good job with that program, Jay White specifically. But again, from top to bottom, I think Bullet Club Gold was a more entertaining, even though it was a smaller sample, it was more entertaining. And the thing with Judgment Day is I feel like they're booked a lot like Undisputed Era was in NXT. Whereas, yeah, they're cool, but they lose too much. Way too much. And I don't like it when factions like that lose to collections of people just thrown together because they're supposed to be cohesive and they weren't. And I don't know that I know that's a hard sell because Judgment Day has been phenomenal this year and I absolutely love them, but I just love Bullet Club Gold. I was fascinated with them. So yeah. Juice Robinson. I love it. I just love it. Bang, bang, gang. Definitely dope as heck. See, me and Lou agreeing on something. I'm never going to talk bad about CM Punk ever again, Lou. But there you go. It ain't a clean sweep. I'm not going to allow it, baby. Not going to allow it. But with that, we will now move on from the best faction, and we will move into the top 5 categories, in which the first one shall be, where'd it go? The best female match of the year. And I'm very excited to hear people's opinions on this one. So, David, you're up first. What you got?
hopefully it ain't a hopefully it ain't a clean sweep again. But Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, WrestleMania 39, arguably best match of the year, much less female. So it had everything you wanted to have, man. It's got one of the top 5 wrestlers in history, if you ask me, and that's Charlotte Flair. It's got one. Excuse me.
He can't even say it with a straight face. He's coughing. He don't even believe it.
Hey, she chokes me up. That's how beautiful she is when she wrestles. You hear me? I almost started crying in the middle of my thought. But yeah, man, like I said, she's top 5 in my book that I've ever seen lace up boots, regardless male or female. She's that great. She's one of the best of this generation, bar none. And to go into it with the young thoroughbred that is Rhea Ripley, that needs to have somebody to work up to, and Charlotte Flair is the absolute standard in the wrestling business when it comes to that. So yeah, man, everything that you can want in the championship match is what they gave you at WrestleMania, and they stole the damn show. They went out there and they said, "You took my main event. Here's your main event. You can shove it up your ass." How about that? That's what they did. They stole the show.
It was gonna be hard to follow, but I'm giving the Usos, Kevin, and Sammy all the credit in the world because that was a tough act to follow, and they did it. I do want to give them a shout for that. That's probably a match that gets overlooked a lot as well. I know people say it was a great one, but I don't think people understand how great it was for the simple fact it didn't get lost because of how great Rhea and Charlotte was. That might be the best 1-2 punch as far as matches that follow each other of all time. Tidy, swing it over to you. What was your female match of the year?
Yeah, it's Rhea versus Charlotte. I mean, again, my friends were over. We were having the time of our life. Me and my roommate are like the biggest Charlotte Flair fans. Man, he said it best. Like literally, like she is the standard for me of what I look at. But somehow she's not going to be my female wrestler of the year.
She shouldn't be.
But man, dude, that was straight fire. I like the way. If you could have just been here and watched me and my friends having such a good time, that's what woke the party up at my house. Rhea was supposed to go on to be what she is now, built off what happened if she can beat Charlotte. And I think that was the perfect way to set her up because she lost to Charlotte in the invisible WrestleMania crowd years ago. I mean, and that crushed Rhea. Every little documentary, Rhea was defeated by it. And Charlotte's presence, she doesn't buck down to nobody, especially on the PLE. So Rhea really had to bring it at full power, and they did, and they delivered. And then you see Charlotte basically crying on the outside, knowing, man, I did my job. I just got this girl over. She just beat the best and made her look like the best. And it was everything for me. Everything. If Charlotte didn't cry at the end, it may not have been everything, but that sealed it. I knew how good they did.
All right. And Albert, I'm swinging down to you. What do you got for the female match of the year?
How do you disagree with what these other two gentlemen said?
Oh my goodness, we're doing it.
It's not even just the match itself was fantastic. Let's be honest. The match itself was a classic. But I think we forget the build to this match was crazy because Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble, and everybody automatically assumes we get Rhea versus Bianca this year. This is going to be the dream match of all dream matches. We're finally going to get to see the two biggest women's stars that have come into WWE outside of the Four Horsewomen go at it one-on-one at WrestleMania, and then Rhea picked Charlotte, and everybody was like, "Wait, what?" And I think that almost made Charlotte and Rhea have to go out to have a better match than they almost initially planned because people were like, we were expecting Rhea versus Bianca. We weren't expecting Rhea versus Charlotte, and they blew everybody away. What a match it was. I mean, I can't say anything more than what these other two gentlemen said. Just one of the best matches I've seen, definitely of all year.
Okay, and I'll say, Lou says it's a clean sweep, and I'm going to tell you, it's not a clean sweep. I will say it was very hard not to pick this match. It really was not hard to pick this match because as much shit I give Charlotte, when Charlotte shows up and gives this kind of performance, I can't argue against her being one of the greatest of all time. I can't. I just don't see it enough, and that's why I give her so much shit all the time. But with that said, maybe I'm being a homer here. I don't know, but I was so thoroughly entertained when I watched Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton at No Mercy in that match they had. Like, I was just blown away. That was the one where I was like, I knew Tiffany was great. I knew she was on the way. But that was the match that says, nope, she's not on her way anymore. She's here. She's arrived. She went toe-to-toe with Becky Lynch and didn't look out of place at all. And that's always my biggest thing with new people is like, when you put them in the position with superstars, are they going to sink or swim? And Tiffany wasn't swimming. She was surfing. She was just phenomenal. So
she is that good.
I'm giving the female match of the year to Becky and Tiffany because it really would. My match of the year isn't, again, 5 stars, all that stuff. It's my enjoyment level and how much am I'm enjoyed from the bell ringing to the bell ringing at just an insane level. It was a phenomenal match. Even the Barbie spot that everyone seems to critique for some freaking reason. It makes sense, dummies. And Barbie was a big thing.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Bro, I'm not even joking. It was a fantastic match, man.
It ain't like a Barbie movie wasn't out, right? It ain't like they can't get that advertising bread. You know what I'm saying? People don't pay attention to stuff like that.
So again, you're right, Lou. I do love Becky, but I'm not picking her this match because of her. It was just a great match. I praised Tiffany more than I praised Becky right there, buddy. So what's up with that? What's up with that? METHO? No, that's an inside joke there. And now we've done the female match of the year. We're going to swing it over to the male match of the year. Oh, where my graphics go? I'm not letting these things go to waste. I took time on these bad boys. Male match of the year, baby. And there was some. I don't think there's ever been a year where there was this much to choose from. So I'm very interested to see with this one. I felt the female one. I was like, I kind of know where everyone's going. Male match of the year, I don't. So I'm very interested to hear. Tidy, I'm going to let you go first. You looked excited there. Yeah. So.
All right. JD McDonough versus Carmelo Hayes, February 7th. Yeah, I'm pulling a rabbit out of the hat. And if you want to know why, where JD's about to get called up, right? Carmelo is with Trick and Melo game is going strong. There's one person that just came into NXT. Been there, I know who he is, a little name by JD McDonough. He just put Axiom on the shelf, broke his damn leg. He just took Ilya Dragunov for interrupting in his main event, broke him. Ilya Dragunov's on the shelf. He's hurt. This is how good JD McDonough is. He gets in the big face that we know, that is Carmelo Hayes, that everybody loves, and he looks him dead in the eye. He's like, I don't care of how much you want to show off and all your how you dress and all this crap. When he pointed at that bell, when that bell rings, I'm going to prove to you that I'm the best here in this ring when that bell rings. And that was basically the promo going into this. Like, and we were like, wow, he just killed Ilya. He just killed one of the greatest wrestlers that a lot of people don't realize. Axiom is amazing. And then now he's going to step to Carmelo. The thing I liked about it was every one of Carmelo's signature moves, I went back and watched the match. Like, this is the best I've ever seen Carmelo look. When he does that fadeaway, it jumps off the back rope and hits those legs. It does that Hulk Hogan leg drop on somebody. JD's neck hit the back of that canvas, and he flipped his legs forward like he was made of Play-Doh. It looks so convincing. All of his moves, every single thing. And it's like, this is the different JD and Carmelo. They were punching very hard. It was extreme. They're on the mat. They were wrestling each other aggressively, just trying to keep each other down. This is a very aggressive match. I think it made Carmelo look his best because the new up-and-comer was about to take an L. And man, if you haven't seen JD when he's at his best, that is an example when JD McDonough is at his best. And Carmelo, none of his moves that you ever seen in your life have looked better on any other opponent. It was JD McDonough, and that's why he got the call up. Match of the year for the males.
JD's top tier seller, 100%. Where was that match at again?
That was just February 7th on NXT.
Okay, and real quick, just to insert, Carmelo, I don't know if anybody saw this. He was announced
Valentine's Day Massacre.
Okay. But Carmelo was just announced as the person that will be in the United States tournament this Friday against Grayson Waller. So you guys said it was Braun or Melo. You guys got it. There you go. Points across the board to you two. Do whatever you want with them. They don't mean shit. Albert, male match of the year. What do you got, dude?
I just want to acknowledge 2 runner-ups for me. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega was absolutely unbelievable. I'm not a big huge fan. The second. I'm not a big fan of either of those guys. I'm not the biggest fan of either one of those guys, but I respect what they do in the ring, and their match was phenomenal. Similarly, Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. That's just my kind of wrestling. I like grappling. I like ground-based grappling, and they are two of the best at it. It's a dream match that I've had personally for years, and I thought that they definitely lived up to the hype. But I don't think it got any better than Gunther versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus at WrestleMania 39. I think those three men tore into each other. It was one of the most physical matches I've ever seen, to the point where – so I think I mentioned this when we talked about WrestleMania this year. My girlfriend is in and out when it comes to watching wrestling. She'll watch sometimes, if she's not doing anything, she'll watch if I'm watching. And that match came on, and she was literally just sitting there going, "Oh my God, these guys are like tearing each other apart, like ripping each other limb from limb. This is crazy. Like, are all matches like this? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen." It's always fun to see somebody who isn't used to that style of physicality, because I've watched wrestling my whole life. I've seen matches like this before, but this may be the best iteration of that kind of a match. These three guys just went out there. They said, "Well, I'm going to leave it all in the middle of the ring. We're going to beat each other senseless. We're going to put on one of the best matches of the night." And to me, that was the match of that WrestleMania weekend, which is absolutely crazy, because we've just mentioned there are a couple of, banger matches that happened that weekend. And I think this was head and shoulders above all of them.
There's 3 perfect matches at WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really, and that's why it was hard for me not to pick it as the best event of the year.
And David, male match of the year, what you got?
Like Albert said, man, that Zack Sabre Jr. Bryan Danielson match was crazy. It was wicked. Like, technically sound. It was brutal. It was crazy, man. It was crazy. You thought there was fingers, joints all busted up. But if you ask me, I think the best match of the year was MJF versus Bryan Danielson in the Iron Man match.
Thank you.
It took a little bit of time to pick up, but once it picked up, it was nonstop action for about 50 minutes, and it was the best Iron Man match I've seen since Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, and that's saying something, because the Iron Man match is the most difficult match to have, because you have to keep people's attention for 60 minutes, and they kept people's attention for 60 minutes, and it allowed a spotlight on the type of worker that Max actually is, and it helped push him to his babyface run. So for all those attributes, and I appreciate that. Shout out Doug Williams, first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. That's why I wanted to rock it. But back to my thought, it just a lot, everything to go along in a match, to get people over, to put a spotlight on Max, to show the type of worker that he is, to elevate him to the position he is today. And it showed that Bryan Danielson is still the man. He's still the American Dragon. And there's not a worker that can go 60 minutes like him. So for that and those reasons alone, I'm going with MJF Bryan Danielson as my male match of the year.
Okay, so that was one of the ones I wanted to give a shout out to. Like, Albert had a few you wanted to shout out. That was one I was like, man, I'm glad you picked it. That was fantastic. I'm so glad you picked it. Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, the first one, I thought was just an amazing match that I wanted to give a shout out to. There was a lot this year. There was so many. I feel like 2 a month. It was just matches that were just like, you gotta watch them. They're just must see. You can't not watch them. For mine, I went AW here, and it went back to that Collision days where that run was just phenomenal. FTR versus Bullet Club Gold, the 2 out of 3 falls match. That shit was amazing. Like, and the way they progressed that story to make me think, oh, this is going to a time limit draw. They both got 1 pin. We're going to a time limit draw. That's why they went first with it, so they can go the entire 60 minutes. And but then they get to like that 53rd minute, I think it was, and then FTR pulls it out and it's like, oh. When AEW surprises me with things like that, it's amazing, because I don't feel like they do it enough. But when they do, it blows me away, and that's what it was. It's why I picked. It's part of the reason I picked them as the best faction of the year, because again, in ring they're amazing as well. But that match was just fantastic. Tag team wrestling, I feel like kind of was. Both companies kind of were fumbling it there for a minute. I think that one was probably the top as far as the highlight of tag team wrestling this year for me. WWE has kind of picked it up here towards the end. At AEW, I still don't know what they're doing yet, but hopefully they find their way. But that match in itself was just phenomenal. I can't say. I rarely go back and watch matches very soon after they happened, and that's one of them. And it was a long one, so it was good if I'm watching long matches back to back like that. It was phenomenal. So that was my pick for the male match of the year. And thank you, Lucy. Me and you get along great as long as we ain't talking about CM Punk. CM Punk and Samoa Joe was another one I want to give a shout out to because, man, what better way to exit AEW than to have that match with your boy Samoa Joe in front of the largest audience of all time.
So shout out Briscoe's FTR too.
Yeah,
shout out them boys.
Yeah. And then from there we will move on to I was talking about tag teams. Man, these transitions are crazy. I'm not intending them either, man. It's like
you're not
professional at this.
Give yourself some credit.
Tag team of the year. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I don't know how much time I even want to spend on this because again, I feel like tag team as a whole hasn't been that phenomenal this year. But I am interested to see what people picked. And I think mine's gonna kind of be a little bit crazy, but it is what it is. So with that said, Albert, I'm gonna let you go first here. Who is your tag team of 2023?
FTR. FTR were the AEW tag champs from April to October. That match, like you said, the matches that they had with the Briscoes, the matches that they had with Bullet Club Gold, the matches that they had with the Bucks. And I'm not even a Bucks guy, but every time I say it, almost every time I ever see the Bucks wrestle FTR, I always say I'm not a Bucks guy, but man, every time they wrestle FTR. Kind of understand why people like the Young Bucks. I think FTR is teams that bring out the best in everybody. That hey,
Lou knows what's up. Lou knows what's up.
Lou knows what's up.
I'm not going to get me to say anything negative about my girl Chelsea Green, but FTR this year, I believe, were hands down the best tag team of the year. I think WWE did good, with tag team matches. I think we had good tag team wrestling, but in terms of just full-blown tag teams, I think that FTR was head and shoulders above the rest this year.
All right. Tidy, what about you? Who's your tag team of the year?
Oh, it's hard because, I'm a WWE NXT guy, and you're right. There hasn't been this is an established team for a while. I want to say the runner-up's pretty deadly just but they haven't had a ton of matches either. But, man, I love them boys from back then. And I'll just have to say what it is in the WWE right now that I love. It's Alpha Academy. Like what he's been able to do, Chad Gable and Otis, a lot of people thought that wouldn't work. Yes, a lot of people thought that wouldn't work. And what they're doing with Takira Ozawa and NXT right now and how they're building up the tag teams in NXT, using them correctly. Because if you're not going to give some tag team spots in WWE Raw enough, yeah, you can. I wanted to say Imperium. I wanted to say some other stuff, but they're beef. They're not a cohesive team right now. Alpha Academy is dope. Otis shouldn't be this entertaining. Otis shouldn't be this good, but damn it, he is so good. Chad Gable, man, it would have been pretty deadly if they would have had some more matches because
had the injury not happened.
Right
the injury kind of derailed him a little
Elton
bit.
Strong, though, man. I mean, come on, give a shout out for Elton Strong.
David, what about you? Who's your tag team in 2023?
One more time, shout out them boys. R.I.P. Jay Briscoe. But I would be a fool to go against FTR. No offense, Tidy, but that's just who I feel. So I ain't gonna go against myself. So FTR, man, it's just the only team that compare to them is the Usos, and the Usos ain't together anymore. So I mean, what is it? 8-star FTR now? 8-star FTR. So they just doing everything that needs to be done. They have the best tag team finisher in the business, if you ask me. It's just a beautiful thing, but they need somebody to take them down because that's how you build tag team wrestling in 2024. I'm looking forward to the next tag team to try to be the best, but there's nobody better than FTR at being a tag team. They are one. They share the same brain. They move as one. So that's who I'm rolling with. So I'm going to AEW. I'm going to FTR, that whole 80s shtick, that music, and I'm rocking with them.
All right. So mine's crazy here, and it is what it is because I know they're not a tag team right now, but I could not pick the Usos here. And my reasoning for it is one, they main evented WrestleMania Night 1. And I know a lot of that had to do with Sami Zayn, but if they hadn't been doing their job for as long as they've been doing it, it wouldn't have main evented either. They got that there just as much as Sammy did. I think Kevin Owens is the kind of only one that got a ride there. Not to take anything away from Kevin Owens, everyone knows that's my guy, but I think the Usos played a huge part in that. And I think Usos splitting up is kind of what has allowed the tag team division to kind of start building up again, because realistically, who's matching up with the Usos in WWE? Nobody. They had to put two main event superstars together to take out the Usos. And Roman Reigns has lost one match this year, and it was to the Usos. I can't ignore that. I know they're not together now. They were only together for half the year, but they had an impact during that half year. And since tag team, again, with the wrestling that I watch, just has not been what it is across the board. I know FTR had some great matches. I just feel like their title reign was a little bit forgettable, though. It was kind of like Hangman Page's AEW title run. Great matches. I just don't remember anything from it. And so that's why I'm taking the Usos. I know it's a controversial one, but that is what it is. Tag team wrestling as a whole kind of was.
You remember one thing from it because it was your match of the year. So,
but again, that's what I'm saying. They had great matches, but to me, it's more about it's more than just matches. It has to be. It has to be more than just matches and what moments they have. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
And
I do feel like tag teams are now in WWE starting to build. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Usos split up, and now all of a sudden the tag teams are on the rise again. And I don't know if they are hand in hand with one another, but the timing of it is very coincidental.
But I mean, Tidy, you mentioned the Pretty Deadly. Courtney mentioned, we just saw the Creed brothers just come up. They're really starting to really reintroduce DIY returning.
DIY.
Yes.
There's a lot of Street Profits. Yeah.
Street Profits.
With Bobby.
They're doing really good work in the tag team division right now.
So, you do have Finn and Damien. They're still a tag team as well.
Yeah, you got Finn and Damien, and you also have Grayson and Austin. There's teams across the board. It's very, very much 2024 is looking very promising. So we'll be having a different conversation next year for sure. From there, we'll move on to the female wrestler of the year. I think this is personally probably going to be a two-way race, but I'm very excited to see if maybe someone has a little something different. And with that, David, I'm going to let you swing first here. Who do you got for your female wrestler of the year?
I'm going with Io Sky. That's my
guy. That's what I like. That's what I like.
She won Money in the Bank. She cashed in and defeated arguably the most dominant wrestler in the WWE as it pertains to ladies, in Bianca Belair. Also, she did, if I'm not mistaken, she beat her in a rematch. She beat Charlotte Flair. She is attached to Damage Control, who is a faction that is unquestionably on the rise. It was a steady build the whole way, and she is a star. And the biggest thing, the absolute biggest thing is she is the only active champion on SmackDown. That means something to me. That means she's doing what needs to be done to be able to let people do what they need to do. So in her matches, she is the genius in the sky. There's what can you say wrong about Io Sky? She's gorgeous, man. Everything. She's the whole package, man. And I'm excited to see the demise of Bayley in that. So it's going to be great. So that is my 2023 female wrestler of the year. Her name is Io Sky, and she is the genius of the sky.
I love the pick. I really love the pick. Albert, swing it over to you. Let you go. I feel like I already know what you're saying here, but go ahead, man. Who is your female wrestler of the year?
I feel like what I'm going to do is unfair, but I couldn't narrow it down to one overall competitor for male and female. I kind of had to do one from each program or one from each show, like a WWE and an AEW kind of a thing, because I think it's too hard to kind of just nail down one. WWE, I think hands down for me, it's been Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea winning the title at WrestleMania from Charlotte, and from there on being the main character of Monday Night Raw. Really, from that moment on, Rhea Ripley was the main character on Monday Night Raw. And you can sit there and say that, hey, Seth Rollins this, and CM Punk came back and this, that, and the other thing. Nah, it was Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley was in the mix for almost everything. It's one of the first times I think in WWE history that a female superstar has been looked at as the main character of a WWE show since Becky Lynch.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to jump through this screen, man.
But yeah, so I think that shows how much WWE gives credit to Rhea Ripley because, you know, they don't put women in that position often. And quite frankly, on the other side, I don't think there's a better character in pro wrestling right now than Timeless Toni Storm. I think Toni Storm is absolutely unbelievable in everything she's doing. I love the silent movies. I love that she finally got the title back because she deserves to be champion because she's the top act in the company right now. I don't think there's anything. If you would have told me last year that Toni Storm would have been the most entertaining woman of 2023, I would have laughed in your face and I would have said, well, they're doing nothing with her. She's in this dead end group with Saraya and Ruby Riott. It doesn't look like it just doesn't look like they're doing anything. And then, man, she comes out with this gimmick, and it's absolutely, I mean, one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. I love Toni Storm from the first time I saw her in the Mae Young Classic. And, from there on out, I was like, this is one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet. And now, not only is she one of the best women's wrestlers on the planet, she's got one of the best gimmicks on the planet.
She's timeless.
She's timeless.
Tidy, swing it over to you before I take mine. Who is your female wrestler of the year?
You know how I feel about Charlotte. There's Bayley, Tiffany, Trish. God, Trish was great this year. But and I wanted so hard to pick Charlotte or Rhea, but you know what? I cannot ignore the facts anymore. Becky Lynch is that damn good at making me care about stuff. She is doing things to help propel next year for us. She brought eyes to NXT. She made Tiffany Stratton a bigger star by bringing her to Raw. And like you said, Jimmy, she was hanging with her. Tiffany was hanging with Becky. That's leading for the next generation. Her taking the Irish girl that used to, you saw the promo between Lyra Valkyria and her. Drops the titles to her. The stuff that she did with Trish. And then I in the beginning, it was kind of wearing on me. And then they brought it and they snapped it back when she said,
Bayley too.
Maybe
Don't
I
forget
am
about
upset
Bayley.
with her. Yeah, maybe I am. Exactly. Like the amount of stuff how Becky does. And I'm a big Charlotte fan, but I can't ignore it anymore. Like she's literally setting up the future of wrestling for me. And no one builds a better match than her. And yeah, even when the crowd on Raw is staring, when she was staring down Rhea Ripley, you can hear the crowd react from the back. It's like, oh, that's right. What if the man goes after Rhea? But Rhea's like, you know what? I'm going to build up the future. And I'm going to do it like no one else can. No one makes me invested as much as she has done in the last 2 years. And I cannot ignore that anymore. She's that damn good.
I love that she's building. Yeah.
I'm smiling like a happy father right now, bro. I'm so happy. I love everything about that.
Me on to Becky. Like he won't pay attention to Charlotte. I was such a Charlotte mark, and he told me about Becky. Then I really started looking at it. I was like, God, this man is right.
Yeah,
and
she's amazing.
Fell in love with her.
She was in the running for me. It's just the fact that she won the NXT Championship and Io won the WWE Women's Championship, and the fact that they trust her on broadcast television. That's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
That's my reason. But they're all great picks.
Io 100% deserves everything.
Yeah.
Io is
Lou, just so you know, Maxine's gonna die tomorrow on Raw because she's facing Rhea Ripley. just so you know. Real quick before I do my pick, before I make my pick, Albert, I need you to know because you have 2 picks, I need you to narrow it down to 1. Rhea Ripley and Toni Storm in a match tomorrow. Who are you booking to win?
Fine. I guess if I have to pick, I'm gonna go with Rhea.
There you go. Rhea Ripley's your choice, which works out perfectly because my pick, it's gonna blow your mind, is Timeless Toni Storm.
Whoa!
I've literally been of the opinion that she's the best female wrestler in AEW, hands down. It's not even close to me. I think she's just hands down the best female wrestler. And she was really good when she was in NXT UK. I saw her a few times in NXT UK. She's always had it in the ring, and I've always been a fan of her. But she never had that thing that, again, I'm a character kind of guy. I'm a promo kind of guy. You got to have the full package for me to kind of put you in that upper echelon. I put Toni Storm in that upper echelon with the names of like Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley now and Bayley. She's completely turned me. I know I loved the gimmick when it started. I was kind of moving away from it there for a minute, but she sucked me back in.
Right.
I think she's phenomenal. I think the segment where she accepted the women's title in an award show, that's what kind of sold it for me, because I was like, that's the most perfect segment for a person who just won the title with this character. It was beautiful. I love it. Obviously, her in-ring stuff has never been a question. Her character has, and like you said, I won't say she's the most entertaining thing in AEW, but she's definitely a top 3 thing, and that's great because the women's division needs that. And like you said, you told me this last year that she was going to be this entertaining, like Roderick Strong. I would have told you, ain't no way. But now, anytime I see the name Adam, I crack up. And when I'm watching movies, I'm thinking, oh, how can Toni Storm incorporate this into her gimmick? I want to see her incorporate. That's the only thing I have. I want her to incorporate the movie stuff into matches and feuds just a little bit more. That's my only gripe on it. But the character work has been phenomenal. So,
do you think the AEW fan base would reject a cinematic match? Because they're hardcore. Like the AEW,
I think
diehards are hardcore. Like I'm just saying, because I'm interested in the cinematic. I'm like, all types of wrestling is cool, but I just know, like with certain AEW diehards, and it's cool. I'm an AEW fan too, but it's just that cinematic thing. It might be a little too WWE for that fan base.
I'll tell you why I think they would accept it, because the first person who did one was Matt Hardy in Impact. And they all loved it. They loved the deletion thing. So I think they would accept it as long as it was done properly and it made sense. With Toni Storm, they all love what she's doing. So I think they would just welcome it with open arms, even if it was bad. That's what's up with their their diehard fan base is like, it's on AEW television. We're gonna love it regardless. But I think a majority of them would accept it. But from there, we will now move on to not the main category, but the final category of the evening. It is the male wrestler of the year. And much like the match of the year, there is a plethora of people to choose from here. So once again, I am dying with excitement to hear these answers. And I'm going to go ahead and Albert, I'm going to let you go first here, since I kind of put you in a bad position last time and made you pick between your two choices.
Well, I'm going to have to do it again.
Lewis just said Adam Cole is his male wrestler of the year. I love it, Lewis. Thank you. Don't even try to put another one in there. I'm not going to put it up. Adam Cole, Lewis picked.
So
Albert, who's your choice?
So I did the same thing this year with like I said, with the males. It was hard for me to narrow it down. So it came between two guys right here. It's these two guys right here. It's the AEW heavyweight champion of the world, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. And there's the WWE Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. Those are my two picks for male superstar of the year. I don't think that there's been a professional wrestler that's had a better calendar year than Gunther. He has dominated every person he's been in the ring with. I think he's lost one match the entire year.
And it was count out.
And yeah, it was a count out victory. Outside of that, he's been absolutely dominant. He has picked it up on a character level. His promos are so much more interesting. We always thought there was going to be Ludwig Kaiser to carry him through his promos, and he doesn't need anybody anymore. He's so believable. He's just himself. There's nobody else like him. There's nobody else doing Gunther matches because no one else can be Gunther. There's one Gunther in the world, and that's who he is, and he's been dominant this whole year. On the other side, I think MJF has been the most entertaining. He's been in quite some time. I think babyface MJF has been fun. I think it's kind of run its course a little bit now. I think it's been fun. I think it's been a nice change. I think it's been fun to have our scumbag as our heavyweight champion. I think that, much like The Rock, there was going to be a point where, a lot of people warned MJF, they're going to want to cheer you, man. And he's like, I'm the biggest scumbag in the world. They're not going to ever want to cheer me. And, you just see it all the time. Every time people come to New York, this guy's getting reactions that are blowing everybody out of the water. Every babyface in the company. There's nobody that got the reactions that MJF had gotten. I think he's been champion for almost the entire calendar year as well. He's had some of the best matches in the world. He's had some of the most entertaining programs in the world. MJF is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And in 2024, we're going to figure out what's going to happen with MJF. He could either continue to be the flag bearer and the number one guy for AEW, or he could sign with WWE and become the most vilified pro wrestler, maybe in the history of pro wrestling, with just the signature of his name on a contract. no matter what happens, I'm interested. MJF has absolutely stood out to me this year, more so than he has in other years, which is crazy because no matter what, he's been in the running for them. I think almost every year that that he's been in AEW.
So once again, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, you're picking him tomorrow. You got to pick one winner. Who you picking?
That's so hard. I'm gonna go with MJF. I'm gonna go with MJF.
Okay, I like it. I like it. And I'm gonna go ahead and go second here, just because that's a nice transition there. Because my wrestler of the year is Gunther.
There we go.
Albert just said a bunch of stuff that I 100% I echo that. I think the biggest thing for me with Gunther is, one, he's improved the promos 100%. Like he is a believable promo. It's not that it's just entertaining. I believe it. When he's talking down to people, I'm like, man, if he was to talk down to me like that, most people I'd be like, I'll buck back. No, I'd take every single thing Gunther said to me because I ain't messing with him. He's a believable a-hole. And then two, most title runs that go this long tend to kind of get a little bit boring. Gunther's has actually gotten better as it goes on. And that's crazy to me. I challenge someone to go out there and tell me when that's ever happened with a reign this long. I can't think of it. Gunther's amazing.
Really
2 months ago, I literally was like, you know what? I'm off the Seth Rollins is the best in the world train because Gunther's that guy. I think he's the best in the world overall. And I think he was the wrestler of the year this year because, again, he had my feud of the year. He had 2 or 3 that were like phenomenal matches. Like his Chad Gable match was phenomenal. His match at WrestleMania 39, we've talked about a few times, is a match of the year contender. And it was a match of the year. One of y'all picked it. So there's no match he's had that's been bad. He got a great match out of Miz. He had me cheering Miz. That's insanity to me. Gunther's the wrestler of the year, hands down. This wasn't even that hard of a pick, honestly. I know there was a lot to choose from because you had Will Ospreay, who won a tirade this year. MJF, who I've been wanting to go babyface forever, did, and it was marvelous. The only thing that's ruined it is the Adam Cole being injured thing because now the devil thing's taking too long. There's others I can't. So yeah, Gunther, hands down, like hands down. Yeah. Walter, yeah, it's Gunther, man. Come on. And this is an interesting thing, Shinsuke Nakamura, because this is one I think I would have accepted for most improved, simply because the presentation he's had the second half of the year has been probably the best presentation of all wrestlers in the world right now. But nice shout because Shinsuke doesn't get enough love. Tidy, I'm gonna swing it over to you. Who was your male wrestler of the year?
Man, this was actually hard for me because I pop when Roman's on, man. When Roman's on, I love it, and I know he doesn't wrestle enough in the year, and he did my boy Sami Zayn dirty. And then you got Drew McIntyre, who's now in the position I wish he was in at least 3 months ago. You know, I mean, like Drew McIntyre right now is like probably one of my favorite things to watch right now.
Yeah.
But I have to go with Sami Zayn because of who Sami Zayn is. Like even him getting his ass pummeled by Drew McIntyre last Raw. Like, he makes me feel. I felt so bad for him when Drew went back to kick his leg and Sami screamed. No one takes like, I'm gonna die, like Sami Zayn does. Like when he kicked his leg, and he's, oh my god, I'm like Sami all the time. Like, and the fact that this year, I know if you think about the story of what happened with Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, whatever. Even though I call that a cop out because you can't put, you can't do Sami versus Roman at WrestleMania. I get it. I wasn't going to get my story, but that's beautiful. And then you have the whole tearing of him and Kevin Owens. They're champs for a while. And then Sami comes out and announces, I'm going to prove to y'all that I'm a main event player. I'm like, oh, there we go. You're giving me the story I want. You're going to prove, because that was the whole point. If he can prove it and be that big at Elimination Chamber and get that pop at home, why is he not a top guy? And the fact that he's now going to be a top guy, man, Sami Zayn makes me feel. And that's it. It would have been Roman, but I'm going to go with my guy. The only person that makes me feel that way, Sami Zayn.
And this is another thing, because Sami Zayn finally got some time off. That's what the injury was for. This is the longest run he's had in WWE, and it was this damn good. The only thing that was holding Sami back this whole time, I don't think it was Vince. I think it was injuries and just momentum. Like something always was there to take something away from him. Nothing was there to take it away from this time, and look what he did. So I love the pick. I'm glad you did it because Sammy deserves all the love because he's that damn good. But now, last but certainly not least, David is going to take it home with the final selection of the categories tonight. David, who is your wrestler of the year, male edition?
That go play a different ways. I mean, I could say you got NXT. I mean, it'd be hard to go against Carmelo Hayes, right? Special shout out to Carmelo Hayes. He did his thing, but that's not who I'm going with. You got AEW, you know, nobody said his name all night. So my AEW wrestler of the year would be Christian Cage because of everything that he's going along in AEW, the type of heel that he is, and the steady climb to the top, and he's making you pissed off and hate him more and more every day. Okay. But that's not it either. I think his name was brought up by two individuals, and Jimmy went with him earlier, and his name is the Ring General Gunta. That is who the wrestler of the year is as a male, because his year has been perfect. I mean, perfect, perfectly booked, and the type of smug heel. Who would ever thought Gunther would be a smug, handsome heel wearing all the badass suit, looking the part, dressing the part,
James
cutting
Bond,
promos on the same level as Miz. Not up to Miz, but he's competing with Miz on with verbal sparring. But we all know what he does. Yeah. But at the same time, we all know when he gets in them trunks and that Imperium music hits and that boy takes his ass to the ring. Oh, you know what time it is. We about to see some blood on people's chest. Let's go. So Gunther is easily the wrestler of the year for me. For me, it's just like I say, when you have a perfect year, it's hard to go against that. Cody Rhodes, I was thinking about Cody Rhodes too, but he doesn't have the gold to go along with it because he lost the main event to Roman Reigns. If he'd have beat Roman Reigns, then he'd be the wrestler of the year. But, you know, it is what it is. So, yep, Gunther.
And when you see a Gunther video package that they did at the last PLE, man, God, his video, it's like a 3-minute clip. It's freaking killer. Yeah. And that's exactly who he is. And they can present him that way. They've done such a good job by him. Best video package I've ever seen.
He's so well booked. He's great at everything.
Great selection, guys. And just a reminder, I'm going to be posting the winners each category tomorrow on the Twitter page, on the Facebook group page. So
this is fun.
For those who tuned in late, so I'm going to go ahead and have those up for you for all the people who missed it. Since we have gone over, I am going to sneak it in because I am always curious to hear what they are, and I like being asked questions. So without further ado, David, it is time for our guestion of the week. That is where the guest asks the question and we answer it. Give it about 5-minute time period here to take it home. What is your question, sir? The last question of 2023. Make it good.
Last question of 2023. Will CM Punk make it to WrestleMania 41?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm assuming staying
physically fit. No. Everything physically. You know,
I think he'll get hurt. I don't think it'll be an injury that like takes him out though. I think he'll get like a little. I think he'll get banged up a little bit, but I think he'll be around at 41.
Okay.
I think here's my thought process. I think that if WWE is doing what I think it looks like they're doing, and they're going to give him the main event this year, I don't think there's any reason why Punk isn't going to be around for a while. I think that's the only thing he wants.
Night 1 or 2.
Either way, I don't think he cares.
It's going to be night 1. There's no way that they are not going to give us Punk Rollins.
Yeah,
that's where the money is.
Unless they get Austin.
And I think, and I said this: if it's Punk and Austin this year, I think, maybe I'm just being a crazy fan here. I think it has more. I think it has reason to main event night 2. I think Roman and Cody could be pushed to night 1, and just to give night 1 that special feel anyway, because they want it to be like, hey, these nights. Yeah. So I think that Punk and Austin is big enough to surpass the Roman and Cody match for night 2.
Night 2?
I honestly believe that. I do.
I don't know about that. That's
I don't know, man.
That's me. Yeah. That's me.
Roman Reigns is on a box office, a bonanza, the street.
Hey,
the lights that nobody's ever seen.
you brought it up earlier. Punk brought in over 100 million views with his return, and who is one of two greatest superstars in WWE history? Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I do think there's an argument to be made where it could happen.
You're right. I just think if that's going to happen, they want asses and seats both nights, and to say that Roman Reigns is your WWE champion, there's a and the streak. You gotta think there's a streak to go along with it. It ain't just Roman Reigns, it's that streak to go along with it. It's the modern day Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, all of them. That's who he is right now. So it just would be hard pressed to me to have somebody supersede that.
And here's my argument against it right here. We saw Roman and Cody last year, so we're getting a rematch this year. We're getting Punk and Austin, which is literally a once-in-a-lifetime match, much like we saw with John Cena and The Rock, which main evented 2 years in a row over the world title. And I know they didn't have a program as big as Roman Reigns right now. I understand that 100%. But if we're realistically looking at what happened there and what we could possibly have this year, that's my argument. I think there's an argument to be made. Again, will it happen? There's a 95% chance it doesn't.
But here's where I'm gonna object to that. Well, because it's a complete difference when you have Rock versus Cena to Punk versus Jericho. It's apples and oranges because you can't even compare the two matches. You know what I mean? And like Roman Reigns, him and Paul aren't gonna let that happen. We all know that because they have the numbers to back that up, and that's not gonna happen. We know that. I mean, I'm with it, Jimmy. That's a very interesting thought, but I think if that happens, it's got to be night one. It's got to be night one. And I don't think that they're going to put the title on the line between Roman versus Punk. He's going to have to drop the title, and then it'll be more for the wise man type of deal. That way you can get the monster Roman Reigns babyface run, and everybody can love Roman Reigns and get excited. Then he can go off to Hollywood.
That honestly could be a WrestleMania 41 main event.
It could, but I don't think the title will be on the line because
that title will be on Cody Rhodes at that time.
Yeah, it has to be. That dude is on another level. Like he's in the class by himself. It's crazy. It's crazy where he is in the WWE because people would be liars if they say he'd be the number one guy. Right now, he's the number one face in WWE. I mean, you don't shatter records that WrestleManias have been to just for Survivor Series, and your name ain't CM Punk in Chicago.
Yeah,
that should tell you something about the type of work that him and Punk. There's something with him and Punk and the people. Like, all of those two, regardless.
And I get what everybody just said, and I understand what everybody just said. But if I've seen Roman and Cody already, just saying, I've already seen it, and as a business-wise, David, you are correct. As a business-wise, Roman's pulling those numbers, and then that is the main attraction. I get it. But from a fan, I want to see Stone Cold. I mean, I would. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to sit out while my back's going to hurt. If I was at WrestleMania doing a 2-night thing, dude, I might leave the first night. When I watched my first Raw event, I was this close to just leaving. My legs and my back were killing me. And I had to drive a 4-hour ride from Staples Center back to Central California. I was this close, man. And what would make my broken ass stay is if I'm seeing CM Punk and Stone Cold. Because I've seen Cody. And so if I was suffering, I might actually leave. Sorry, I would. The fan in me would want to see that way more. Because I know Cody's going to win. Get out of here, Cody. Man, you're making it predictable.
If you smell as a Royal Rumble, then everything. I'm just telling you, hey, Jimmy, if that music hit at the Royal Rumble, you going, hey, that's exactly what people were saying about CM Punk until that static hit.
No, here's my thing. I'll be excited because I'll be there. I'm like, I finally got to see The Rock. The list is complete. I can fucking just be done. I'm good, happy, awesome. I don't want him to wrestle this year at WrestleMania because we just had CM Punk come back and throw a wrench in things. Bringing in The Rock throws like a completely bigger wrench in things. And I just don't want it. That's my thing. So
if there was a such
The Rock should have done it last year. He should have done it last year.
Oh yeah, and then Cody Rhodes would have his moment this year, and it'd been a hell of a lot better build because then you'd be able to say, "Oh, he's finally getting his moment. You built him this far, Cody," and then it is what it is. We're gonna see because it's Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns #2. But Tidy, people were excited to see Rock Austin 2.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And people were excited to see Rock Austin 3. And the way that like the electricity on that SmackDown when Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes went eye to eye, that energy, oh my God. I'm trying to tell you, man, that they can't go away from that because it's those who Punk is he's his own person because he's not gonna be there for the long haul and he can't be there every day. Cody Rhodes is the guy to get you to the next level. You built it to that point. You made a movie about him, a successful movie. People are chanting his name. It ain't like Seth Rollins. See, even Punk agreed with me. Look, the song with Seth Rollins, he's a phenomenal wrestler, but they weren't chanting Seth Rollins' name. They were singing a song. I'd rather them chant my name than sing my song. You know what I'm saying? And that sucks because he's phenomenal. He's great. And he cuts a good promo, but the issue with that is that they're not saying his name to me. They're singing a song. You want them to say your name, you know. That's just my humble opinion because you didn't hear people saying if you smell, they're like Rocky. That too, or Austin, or Cena, or Randy.
My thing is this. I think that they're going to make me love Cody and they're going to pull it off because if you're going to have a feud, I mean, you're going to have going into WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, they're going to sell me on it. And WWE has proved me wrong and made me care about stuff I thought I wouldn't care about. I can't stop comparing him to my Sammy run that I wanted. And that's my personal problem. I need to get over that bull crap. But when I see it happen, I think they're going to sell me on it. But if they don't sell me on it, I'd rather see something else. But I believe they're going to sell me on it. They've done it. So,
all right. So it is that time where we close, and this is the closing of 2023. We will be back on January 7th, I believe it was 7th or 10th. I can't remember. The second Sunday of, I believe it was the second Sunday of January. So
7th.
With 7th. All right. So we'll be back at January 7th. It is time to enjoy the holidays, spend some time with our friends and family, and again, just take a break. So with that, Albert, let them know your goodbyes and tell them where they can find you.
Well, for the final category of today, I think the podcast of the year has been this one. I think that there's, to be honest, I've struggled with trying to figure out how to keep myself into this space sometimes because it gets a little bit hard because a lot of these podcasts, whenever I guest on somebody else's, it's a lot of negativity. It's the one where there isn't any, and I love that. Like Courtney just said, just enjoy wrestling. That's our moniker here, and that's the idea. Let's just talk about things that we like. Let's not shed too much light on things that we don't like. And I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to know Tidy and Jimmy and all of our guests this year. It's been a blast. Thank you guys for having me. Hopefully this means that we'll have some more good times coming in the year 2024. But while you're here catching up on all the stuff that we've done here, you can go to the Slam sessions. Check out all the stuff I'm doing over there. A new video should be uploaded either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. I've been sick. My apologies. I'm a little bit behind. But I'm going to get myself to that. Everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, all of it. Thank you guys for joining us every week. Thank you guys for the support. I love each and every one of you. And it's been a blast doing this show all year.
Tidy, swing it up to you, buddy. What is your goodbyes for the year? And what do you want to tell people?
David's dope. I really like David's input.
I appreciate
you, man. Everything that I was like thinking, I'm gonna pick that second, or maybe I'll think of it. David was nailing it. Solid points. I really enjoyed the last couple times you've been on here, man.
And that's awesome, man.
And Albert, yeah, man, you've grown on me, man. I love that you're a Finn Balor fan, and Jimmy, man, Jimmy's always dope. I love being on here just to hear Jimmy talk most of the time. It's just my thing. And I love the positivity behind all this stuff, but Courtney, thank you for watching. Courtney's always somebody dope that I like to talk to on Twitter. The heart and soul of the podcast, honestly. If anybody ever wanted to geek out with another person on Twitter that's positive and just is full on every wrestling show there is.
Yeah, she watches it all. She
has it all covered. Courtney is dope. She has a great perspective. She's very positive. Man, and she loves some baby faces. She hates it when I go on a heel. I'm chanting for the heel. Man, she would just tear me one. But Cordy, you've been dope. That's all I got to say. I hope everybody has a good year and spend some good time with some family.
All right. David, let them know what's up, where they can find you, and all that good jazz with your goodbyes.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for bringing me back. I've had an absolute blast getting to know y'all. Y'all are amazing. Albert, man, I love your thoughtfulness. I love that you're delivering and you take the time and you come with articulate thoughts. Tidy, you bring the same type of energy that I bring, man. I've had a pleasure getting to know you. You, like you said, man, we share somewhat of the same brain because you're hitting other things that I want to hit. Jimmy, as always, this is the third show, bro. We get better and better every time. The chemistry is building. It's been my absolute honor to be a part of this show. And the fact that y'all brought me back for this best of show, man, that means a lot to me, man. Y'all are awesome. And you can catch me, DJ21188 on the Instagram. David Perry Jr. #4. If you're in on the Twitter, if you're in St. Louis and you need to open up a bank account, how's your boy at Bank of America? Come pull up. I'll take good care of you. Yeah, next time I'm pulling up in the suit, show you the debonair Dave up in this bitch. But and also, come check me out on the Kick Rock podcast with my boy at Evan T. Mack and at Chef Justin T. Man, we be over there cooking. The pots are still sizzling, man. And it's an absolute honor again to be on this show, man. Thank you very much. It's been a blast. And y'all took me away from the Cowboys game, and that's my squad. So that should tell you something.
So
the Jets won down.
Hey man, shout out Brees Hall, man.
I'd thank you, David, for joining us. Thank you to all the other guests who have joined us. Nick, big time. He's been on the show multiple times. So thank you, Nick, for joining us. And all the other guests we've had. We're going to have some more in the upcoming 2024. I've already reached out to some people, so we're going to make some more guests come in. We're going to have a rotation. I want to thank Tidy for being my right-hand man since day one here. Much appreciated, as always. The idea to do the show was his to begin with, so mucho thanks for that. Albert, I want to thank you for accepting my invitation to join us on this show, not only on the show, but rest of the buddy as well. Much appreciated. The love is all around, and I much appreciate it. Courtney, Lou, there's a few others. Cameron, he popped in every once in a while. There's been some others that watch the show. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I always said I don't do this show to get the views and all that other stuff. I'm not doing it to get. I do it because it's like therapy for me. But if people are joining in with us and they're talking with us, and it's just a great community to have, and I hope to grow in 2024. But if we don't, it's all good because I enjoy the community that we have. So much appreciated and much love to everybody with that. I'm looking forward to 2024 because 2023 was awesome. It was better than 2022. So by that logic, 2024 is going to be better than 2023. And who's going to be mad at that? That's going to be awesome. We got CM Punk back in WWE. I don't even have anything to say. It's still just on every time I see it. It's amazing. Woo, so
it's crazy.
So again, thank you all for joining. And as always, y'all know what it is. Just enjoy wrestling. We will see you in 2024. Enjoy your holidays. Peace out. Laters, everybody.